Well, ladies and gentlemen, the moment is finally here. The very first inaugural Scouching report. And the lucky candidate for the first episode that we've ever produced profiling a single player is Victoria Grizzlies center Alex Newhook. Newhook is ranked 16th by NHL Central Scouting in North America, and I think there's a case to be made that he's pretty undervalued in that slot. Newhook has been an absolute animal in the BCHL, which is not a joke of a league, for 2 years now. This season he improved on an excellent D-1 last year with a 48% involvement percentage and an 18% goal percentage with Victoria this year, an absolutely powerhouse team. So the way that we're going to be looking at these players individually is through 5 separate categories that I think go a really long way towards pushing a player to be potentially great and a solid NHL hockey player one day. And those categories are think, move, get, pass, and shoot. And rating these players in each one of these categories will be similar to the tiered system you may or may not have seen in my draft rankings previously. The idea being that someone with a skill in tier 1 might be among the elite in the draft, and the letter grade is given to each individual skill based on how often the player reaches that tier in a given game. Ideally, we're going to be grouping players into 4 tiers for each skill, along with a letter grade similar to what you might or might not have gotten in school, A, B, C, D, and F. So someone with a tier 1B in terms of getting the puck is someone who, when they're at their best, is an exceptional puck retriever and an exceptional forward along the boards. But someone with a B rating might not always be at that level, but is at that level often enough to be very, very notable. Whereas someone with maybe a tier 3C shot skill might not have the best shot and might not really have the best shot very often at all, but maybe once in a while you see something really special out of the player. So the first thing we're going to look at is how Alex Newhook seems to think the game. Newhook is a very creative offensive center who excels at both playmaking and shooting the puck. He can be a very dangerous offensive player in any area of the ice. He doesn't need to be moving particularly quickly. He knows where to go if he wants to be a dangerous offensive player, and he knows when to go without really giving up too much in the way of defensive coverage. He can be a bit absent-minded with moving pucks out of his own zone and maybe look a little bit lackadaisical moving a puck here or there, causing turnovers or at worst goals against. So his awareness could use some work, but when he's at his best, he's an excellent and dangerous puck mover, and when he's in the offensive zone and he doesn't have the puck, he's going to find some space, and if he's open, he'll get the puck and he can put it in the back of the net. His positioning in the defensive zone, which is often something that centers at this age really need to work on, is pretty solid, but he is playing in the BCHL, which is not the highest level hockey league. But that being said, he's more than adequate, and the best part of his game isn't usually on the back check and along the boards in his own zone. So where I see Alex Newhook in this category is a 2B. He's really solid at all areas of the ice, but he does have moments where you might question his decision making or his intensity on making a pass or his intensity in his own zone. His positioning is very good most of the time, and if his defensive positioning in his own end might be able to take a step in college, I think he could be a very dangerous hockey player at all areas. The next category is the move category, and to me this is arguably his best trait. Moving around the ice, even in the BCHL, Newhook excels. His ability to explode from a standing start is excellent. And once he hits his top speed, he's really, really hard to catch, and his ability to handle pucks at that high speed is also very, very good. Newhook is the kind of player that can become very dangerous very quickly in any area of the ice. Some of the defensive lapses that I saw from him usually resulted in loose pucks, and when Newhook sees a loose puck, he's in there, and when he gets it, he's gone. He's also no slouch when the puck is cycled in the offensive zone. If he's stuck at the blue line, his ability to go from a standing start to a high speed when he has the puck is great. Multiple times I saw him cut in from the blue line straight to medium or high danger areas, and at that point he's either got the great shot he has to put it in the back of the net, or he also is aware of where his teammates are on either side of the net for an easy pass and an easy shot to the back of the net as well. And if you want to see what the result of having speed and agility like Newhook is, 68% of my tracked individual shot attempts of his were from high or medium danger areas. And on average, over all 7 games that I watched, he averaged 4.5 of these chances every time. So as I said before, I think this is his best skill, and I'm giving him a 1B. His speed to me is elite, and if it can take another step, he could be an extremely dangerous player at the next level. Now, it's not always there. There were some games where he might be maybe not putting in 100%, or maybe it was on the second half of a back-to-back where that same sort of game-breaking agility and speed wasn't quite there. But when he's at his best, he is excellent in terms of moving around the ice. The third category that we're going to look at is getting the puck. When Alex Newhook does not have the puck, how effectively can he get the puck back? And this is where I think there's a bit of a shortcoming in his game. At the BCHL level, with his kind of mobility, I would expect him to be far more engaged far more often in defensive play. However, with mobility like him, when pucks are loose, he's very dangerous very quickly going the other way, so I don't think this is necessarily going to hamper him long term. His intensity with the puck along the boards is really solid, and he is very agile, so he can keep control and possession of the puck under a lot of pressure. And while he does seem a bit lackadaisical in his own end, he does do a good job some of the time grinding pucks out, getting loose pucks, and heading back up the ice himself. I also see a lot of young centers in their own end floating around the blue line waiting for a defenseman to give them an outlet pass, and Alex Newhook certainly doesn't do this. He often backchecks deep into his own zone because I imagine he knows he has the mobility to get out of his own zone very quickly. He doesn't float, he doesn't wait, he gets involved, and when things go his way, they really do go his way. So while I do see a lot of intensity out of him some of the time, I do think he's going to need to capture that a little bit more at the next level. The game's only going to get faster and more physically intense, and I think he's going to need to scale up along with it. And I think that as the game of hockey gets more and more difficult for him and his opponents, he's also not going to be able to be as reliant on his defenders to grind out pucks for him along the boards. But I do see flashes of effective defensive play, and I do think that for a player as offensively talented as him, he is underrated in his own end. So in this category, I'm going to give him a 2C. There are times when I see an effective back-checking center out of here, and he's not going to be a top 5 pick in this year's draft, likely. So in terms of overall long-term talent, he can have areas where he might be a bit weaker than usual. But that's not to say that he's always weak in his own end. He does have flashes, it just isn't always there. The fourth category is pass. How effectively does Newhook pass the puck around the ice? And let me tell you, even though he's in the BCHL, he is an excellent passer and an excellent playmaker and a very, very reliable center in transition and the offensive zone. He's exceptionally dynamic, and it is very apparent that he is always very aware of where his teammates are on the ice, especially in the games that I saw where he was playing with Alexander Campbell, another draft-eligible guy that I think is going to be pretty underrated going into the draft. He's able to make both complex and simple passing plays in the offensive zone whenever he deems them to be the right play to make. They might not always be successful, but it bodes well for his future that he's willing to take risks, but also is able to make simple plays that increase the chance of a goal going in. Across the 7 games that I tracked, he averaged about 22.5 pass attempts per game. That might not sound like a whole lot, but for a centerman, that is quite a lot, and that scales to similar puck-moving defensemen that I've tracked over the year. The downside with Newhook is that for all of these pass attempts, relative to other guys that I've tracked, even guys at higher levels, his rate of completion is a little bit lower than you'd expect. And that does lead to some dangerous turnovers and goals against that you would like him to not bring to the next level of hockey. So in terms of passing, I see Newhook as a 1C. He's a dangerous and dynamic offensive player at his best. He can find open men, he can take passes as an outlet from a defenseman and move it through the neutral zone. If he's carrying it through the neutral zone himself, he can hit teammates on the wings as he enters the offensive zone. He does it all, and he can be simple or complex. He's got a large toolbox. But for all of the times that he's able to pass the puck around the ice, there are times where he might not put enough mustard on a pass, and it might be coming the other way very quickly. It goes back to this need for intensity. He needs to make sure that every single pass he makes gets to the guy that it needs to go to if he's going to be a real serious player in the NHL one day. The final category we look at is shooting. How well does Alex Newhook shoot the puck? For a guy pretty well known as a playmaker, he's no slouch with shooting the puck himself. I mean, the guy scored 38 goals in 53 games on a very good Victoria Grizzlies team. He can put pucks away when he's standing still in the offensive zone. If he's carrying the puck around the back of the net, he's able to make that quick turn in front of the net and put the puck in the back of the net that way. I've seen him score goals in a variety of different ways. And with the way that he thinks the game, he can put himself in dangerous areas as defending players are drawn away from him so that he can create space for himself. He's got a pretty quick shot, but if he also has time to wait out a goaltender, he's able to do that and with his skill, he can make it even easier for himself to score a goal. His ability to shoot the puck off the rush might not be as up to par as around the rest of the areas of the ice, and I would say that he's at his most dangerous when shooting the puck standing still when fed a pass from a teammate. So I'm going to rate his shot around a 2A. I don't really see him as being an elite goal scorer in the NHL, but I do see him pulling off a lot of different ways of scoring goals off of his shot. He can get dirty ones, he can shoot them standing still, he's capable of scoring off of a rush, he can wrap around the back of the net, make a quick turn and score. So I think overall, I see a lot of really good signs out of his shot, but in terms of being a potential game-breaking goal scorer in the NHL, I'm not quite sure it's there. So the way that we're going to wrap up these videos is going to be looking at what the best part of his game is, the good part of his game is, and the not so good part of his game, and then we're going to wrap up with some overall thoughts. The best part of Alex Newhook's game is his footwork and his speed. At any given time on a loose puck, the puck could be going the opposite direction extremely quickly. He's got the puck control to get around defenders very easily, and he's able to do a lot himself, but he also is able to use teammates with his great passing ability. But his best asset is definitely his skating, especially in a straight line. The good part is that he's a very dynamic offensive threat. He's not just a goal scorer, he's not just a playmaker, he's not just a power play guy. He can do a lot of different things very, very well offensively. And that's a skill set that you need when going to the next level. If you're just a shooter, you might have a lot of difficulty if defenses adapt to your ability to shoot the puck. If defenses have a hard time adapting to your game because you have a lot of different tools in your toolbox, like someone like Newhook, it makes it a lot more difficult to counter him, and I think that with what he brings to the game when he's at his best, there's nothing but a good hockey player there. The not so good part is that there are times in his own end where he might just not bring the intensity that coaches or teammates might really need out of a top center on their team. It seems like he kind of waits for the puck to come to him before he really gets involved grinding a puck out along the boards. I have seen him grind pucks out along the boards and generate those loose pucks himself, and I think that long-term teams will want to see him do that a bit more. And it also might be due to the fact that he knows how quick he is, and on any loose puck, if he's in open ice, he can find a way out of the defensive zone through the neutral zone into the offensive zone and hopefully generate a chance that way. But you don't see a lot of top centers in the NHL really floating around the defensive end and last very long in the league. So I think if he brings a bit more intensity to his game more often, I think he's going to go a long way to generating a lot more positive chances for himself. So overall, I'm going to put Alex Newhook in the 1C category. I think there is the potential for him to be a very, very good offensive center in the National Hockey League one day. I also am a bit hesitant based on his lack of intensity, as mentioned before, and I think guys with offensive talent like him can sometimes hamper their own development by not putting in the work in their own zone to get the puck in a more favorable position. But when Newhook is at his best, he can make plays with the best of them, he can shoot the puck really well, he can certainly keep up with the best of them, and I think that over time, if he can continue to capture an intensity that I have seen flashes of, while also remaining as quick and agile and dangerous with the puck as I've seen him, I think in terms of a quarterback offensive center one day, I think a team's going to be very happy picking him wherever they pick him in the first round. And the last note I'll add for Newhook is if you're a team in the lottery this season and you lose the ability to draft Jack Hughes and you still want something in that similar type of archetype, Alex Newhook is not a bad consolation prize. Now, I'm not saying he should go second overall, but I'm saying if you're a team that's hoping they win the lottery and you end up with the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th overall pick, and you want that undersized center who can motor with the best of them, Alex Newhook might be your guy. So that's it for the inaugural Scouching report. I hope you enjoyed. There's plenty more coming between now and June, so stay tuned. If you liked what you saw, click all the buttons below and be sure to keep up with everything that we do. If you really liked the show, you can pick up some merch from our Scouchwear store, or you can support us on Patreon, which gives you access to data sheets for drafted and undrafted NHL draft prospects. So that's it for this one, and we'll see you in the next one.